Hello, and welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged, where today, in honor of Irene making it to the merge, I will be taking a look at how Season 15 would have played out if Irene had survived the initial talent show. Also, I know I've been gone for 9 months, but I think it is very funny to not address the elephant in the room, so let's get right into it. Starting us off is going to be the talent show, and in this timeline, I'm gonna say that Irene's performance actually goes over well with the judges, and instead of being eliminated, Irene is going to end up on the higher end of safe alongside like Sasha and Spice. Now for the rest of the judging, the top 3 is going to stay the same as Anitra, Jax, and Marcia all did a great job, with Anitra once again getting the win. Now moving on to the bottom 3, I think the conventional wisdom for rejudging Drag Race would just be bump everyone down a slot to account for Irene not being there, but what I'm trying to do here today is mimic what production would have done, and I don't think that's what they would do. Lucy LaDuca originally placed low in this challenge and is absolutely TV gold, and would very likely lose that lip sync to Amethyst. Do we really think that production is going to risk losing Lucy on literal week 1 instead of trying to mimic the Jan storyline with her? I don't think so. I believe that what production is going to do for this bottom 3 is keep Lucy as low, keep Amethyst in the bottom, and then take one of the weaker talent shows that ended up being safe, and throw them under the bus and into the bottom. So I think in this timeline, Lucy is low, Amethyst is in the bottom, and sends home Aura Mayari. I hate to see Aura go this early, but I really do think production saw her as much more disposable than someone like Lucy. That said, I know this is going to be very controversial, and I've been out of the game for like a year now, so if this is absolutely crazy, please let me know in the comments. I'm trying to recalibrate my brain to doing this again. Next up is going to be the episode 3 advertising challenge, and I think Irene is going to do a really good job here. Everything we saw from Irene during season 15 promos and the actual episodes she was on showed that she did have really good comedic timing even back in 2022. It just turned out that her talent show was just not a good reflection of that. With that in mind, I think Sasha gets the win with Irene and Lucy in the top. Then for the bottoms, Jax is low with Amethyst sending home Princess Poppy. Next up is going to be episode 4, which is the Snatch game, and unfortunately, we don't really know who Irene was going to do. The 4 options she brought were Jennifer Coolidge, Martha Stewart, Lucille Ball, and Bernie Sanders, and while I do think Bernie Sanders is a very risky choice for the Snatch game after what we've seen in the past, I think all of these are pretty good options, and Irene very likely ends up in the top alongside Mistress, with Lucy getting the win. Now for the bottoms, since Aura Mayari is no longer here, we need someone to take the low slot, and I think it's gonna be Robin Fierce. I think that while Aura, Spice, and Sugar all did badly in the challenge, I genuinely cannot remember anything Robin did in this Snatch game, so I think I'm gonna put her as low with Spice sending home Sugar. Next up is going to be episode 5, which is the design challenge, and I will not be changing any part of this judging. Lux is going to get the win with Malaysia, Robin, and Sasha as high, Jax is going to be low, and Selena is going to send home Amethyst. I think in a fair universe, there is a very good shot that Irene ends up in the top, but looking at the original judging, I don't think production was going based off how the queens did in the challenge. They were using this episode as an excuse to spread the placements around, so I think Irene would end up on the higher end of safe, but still safe. Next up is episode 6, which is girl groups, and I'm very scared that this is where I end up losing people. In the original judging of the season, I think production was absolutely terrified that it was going to come off like they were favoring Sasha, so they were trying to spread out the wins. With that in mind, even though Sasha did the best in this challenge, I believe that Irene would do a good job in this challenge, and production would give her the win over Sasha as part of a guarantee that they are not favoring Sasha. Do I think it is fair? No. Do I agree with it? No. Do I think it's what would happen? Absolutely. Irene wins with Mistress and Sasha in the top, Anitra is low, and Jax sends home Robin. Next up is going to be the episode 7 acting challenge. Thanks to the fight that Mistress and Malaysia had, one of them has to win this challenge, and it's going to be Mistress, but I think the other 2 high placements are going to go to Anitra and Irene. I think Irene has had consistently good comedic timing, and I think this is a challenge she would shine even if Mistress gets the win in the end. Then for the bottom 3, now for the bottoms, since Aura is no longer here, I think the bottom 2 are going to be Jax and Spice, with Lux getting bumped down to low. As much as production likes Spice, I don't think they would be willing to get rid of Lux or Jax, so Lux is low, and Jax is going to absolutely dominate Spice in the lip sync to Sweetest Pie, and Spice is eliminated. Next up is going to be episode 8, which is the lip sync smackdown, and I'm just gonna give Spice's slot to Irene. I think that's the fairest way for me to judge this. The only pairing with a change is now going to be Irene and Lucy to Do You Wanna Touch, and I think Irene wins this. I absolutely love Lucy LaDuca, but I think Spice is the only person in this cast she could possibly have won this lip sync against, so unfortunately for Lucy, she will be going into the second round instead of Spice. Moving into the second round, the only difference is that Lucy and Malaysia are now going to be lip syncing to Don't Go Yet. On the original season, Malaysia won this lip sync, but I don't think she beats Lucy. Throughout the entire season, queens were criticizing Lucy for being too generic, but she was also incredibly professional, and I just don't see a universe where she doesn't know the words to a lip sync. So I think just based off that, Lucy is going to win and send Malaysia into the third round alongside Anitra and Jax. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that production went into this episode with the sole intention of getting rid of Jax, and I think that is exactly what they're going to do. Anitra gets to pick someone to save, she chooses Malaysia and sends home Jax in 10th place. Next up is episode 9, which is the ball. I think the top 3 of Sasha, Anitra, and Mistress is going to stay the same, with Sasha getting the win. Once again, I think there is a very strong argument for Irene ending up in the top, but personally, I don't think the looks she brought from home for this challenge are up to her usual standards. I think she would be high safe along with Lux. Then for the bottom 3, since Spice is no longer here, I think Malaysia is going to be low, with Selena sending home Lucy. I'm fully aware that earlier on in the video I said I'm not just going to bump everyone down a placement, but I think that is what production would do here. I think that Lucy is no longer as intrinsic to the plot of the season as she was, and while I still believe she would be saved from the bottom in episode 1, we are now in episode 9, and I don't think they're going to save her twice. Next up is going to be episode 10, which is the improv challenge, and the top 3 are going to be Sasha, Lux, and Irene, who has now taken Lucy's spot. Just like on the original season, I think Sasha is going to get the win here to balance out being robbed of a win earlier in the season in girl groups, so that's going to be our top 3. So that brings us to the bottoms, which are Mistress, Selena, and Malaysia. Just like on the original season, Mistress is low, with Selena sending home Malaysia. Next up is going to be episode 11, which is the comedy challenge. The pairs are going to be Irene and Lux, Mistress and Selena, Sasha and Anitra, and Marsha on her own. On the original season, not only did Lux and Lucy do the best, but they also had a huge storyline of a feud throughout the season, and I think production tries to mimic that. The first act of the season was literally setting up Irene and Lux for an incredibly mild beef throughout the season, and I think this is going to be the culmination of it, with both of them getting the win together. Then the rest of the placements are going to stay the same, with Mistress and Selena as high, Sasha as low, and Anitra sending home Marsha. Next is episode 11, which is going to be the Rusical, and I think the judging is going to stay pretty much the same. Anitra gets the win with Lux, Mistress, and Sasha as high, and the bottom 2 are Irene and Selena. On the original season, I think there was a fair amount of controversy about Lucy being in the bottom, but I do think in this timeline, Irene does deserve it, and will end up sending home Selena to running up that hill. Even if Irene was not the strongest lip syncer this season, I think she could slightly outperform Lucy, and she has a much better track record, so at bare minimum, Irene is joining the final 5. Moving on to episode 12, we have the makeover, and I think this is where the timeline splits, so I will be looking at 2 scenarios for how the endgame of the season plays out. In timeline 1, just like on the original season, Anitra gets the win with Mistress and Sasha as high, and the bottom 2 are going to be Lux and Irene, who did a good job in the makeover, but production completely threw her under the bus, just like they did Lucy. In this timeline, Irene gets eliminated in 5th place, and that's the end. Since we have the exact same final 4 with the exact same track records, everything plays out as normally. Sasha wins the Rumix, Lux is high, Anitra and Mistress get a double save, and Sasha wins the season. Now for the second timeline, the makeover is judged fairly, with Anitra getting the win, Irene and Sasha being high, and Lux and Mistress in the bottom, and I think in this scenario, production absolutely gives them the double save of the season. If that's the case, going into episode 13, we still have a final 5. Sasha's still gonna get the win with Lux as high, but now for the bottoms, Mistress is gonna be low with Anitra and Irene in the bottom. Anitra wins the lip sync, and Irene is once again eliminated in 5th place. The finale plays out exactly as it did on the original season, with Sasha and Anitra as the top 2, pretty much confirming that regardless of how this season played out, Sasha was winning. Taking a look at the track records, Irene obviously does a lot better when she is not eliminated on episode 1, who would have thought? On a more serious note, now that I'm uploading more frequently, or at all, if you have any video ideas, please pitch them in the comments. I have a few of my own, but I'm still trying to get back into the headspace of doing this, so if there's any kind of video you want made, please let me know and I will see what I can do. Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then you should check out the RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged YouTube channel and hit subscribe.